Sitaram. Welcome, good morning, and welcome to everyone who's tuned in and listening to this program. All those listeners who are in Trinidad and Tobago, up the Caribbean, and worldwide. Today, I'm dedicating this program in the memory of my eldest sister who passed away this week. I'm also dedicating this program to all my other sisters worldwide. I consider every woman except my wife as a sister, a mother, or a daughter. And I want to dedicate this program for all of them. I also want to reach out to all my nephews and nieces who have come for this occasion and who are grieving and going through that process at this time, and to let them know that they have my full support. And going forward, sometimes we could use an incident to help us to unite and to grow. This morning, I had a call from a sister in South Trinidad. She had been reaching out to me a few days now, asking for help for a problem with alcohol. Just minutes before this program, I had to remind another sister again who called that, look, I'm going to start the program, and I'm going to use this program to respond to some of the questions that were raised in that conversation. And I want to let all the women who are listening to this program to know that there is hope. Having worked in the field of alcoholism and drug addiction, I am aware. I have been working in this field for more than 40 years now. I've worked in various treatment facilities. I've done training abroad as well in this subject. And I'm saying this to say that I do understand and empathize and know how you all feel out there. Being a person in recovery myself, I know how difficult it was for me as a man to admit and to accept and to put down the glass and to live a drug-free life. And I also know that it is several times more difficult for women to be able to do that. To start with, alcohol affects women so much in a different way than it affects men, because women cannot, generally, they cannot handle, their body cannot assimilate and metabolize alcohol efficiently as men, because we are made up differently. Our fatty tissues are different. Men could absorb a lot more alcohol before they become drunk and, inebriated. Women tend to get drunk faster. And in this society that we live, anyone who live in this society knows, and not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but worldwide, alcoholism is highly stigmatized. But when it comes to women, it is much more stigmatized, so that women tend to hide the fact that they are becoming unable to manage their drinking. And as a result, they become what we describe in treatment facilities and circles as closet drinkers. They hide and they drink. And but the fact is that we know today that alcoholism is genetic. That if your ancestors, mother or father, grandmother, grandfather, great grandmother, great grandfather were alcoholics, you can have inherited that genes that predisposes you to alcoholism. And that is not only isolated to men. The women as well become predisposed to becoming alcoholics if they drink. And as I said before, they are not able to tolerate it as efficiently as men. And so very, very soon they become seriously and severely affected. And I heard this sister this morning crying out, and this is not the first time. She said, I want to stop. I want to stop. I know she wants to stop. She's been trying. But you see, a lot of people out there who do not understand the suffering that alcoholics go through are quick to judge and condemn. Even family members become, overtly disgusted, and they will more readily admit, okay, we have a male member of the family who has an alcohol problem, and they will see it as not such a serious thing in the society. Everybody is drinking, and we accept it. It is legally available. But when a woman becomes affected by this disease, and it is a disease, I want to emphasize that it is not a bad habit. It's a disease like any other. They don't get any level of understanding even from close relatives. They get insulted, they get sidelined, and they get isolated, they get scapegoated. All kinds of things happen, with women in this society. And to make matters worse, we really don't have the facilities. We don't even have adequate facilities to treat men in Trinidad and Tobago. There's always a shortage of bed space at the treatment facility at Cowra, where I used to work. And there is little or no bed space in the public domain for women alcoholics. They have to either become willing to pay, or there are a few uh, voluntary organizations that are, but still, it is very few and far between. That it is very, and it is several times more difficult for a woman to go and seek help, because the wife would quickly take care of the family while the man goes to Cora for 6 weeks, or goes to a rebirth house or any one of the other facilities and get his act together, because she has become accustomed to taking care of home and taking care of the children. But when it's her turn, the man, a lot of times, they don't even want the wife to go to a treatment facility, because they they can't trust her. They think she's vulnerable, and they are very reluctant a lot of times to even take care of the children and the responsibilities of the home so that she could go. And because of the stigma, people around her, even the close family members sometimes, are unwilling to make it known that, look, they have a relative, a daughter or a daughter-in-law or a sister who is an alcoholic, so that it becomes several times more difficult for women to go and seek help in Trinidad and Tobago, and I dare say worldwide. And so they go to the doctor several times, and that is another problem. This person this morning went to see their psychiatrist yesterday, and the only counseling she could get is a psychiatrist telling her, look, you have to stop drinking. But she knows that, but she don't know how to do it. And he doesn't explain, and he prescribes a psychotropic drug for her because, of course, she's unable to sleep. She has not been able to sleep for a very long time. She was telling me this morning that even the sleeping pills don't help her. And I was explaining to her that I understand that, and I understand why that happens, because I've worked in the field of psychiatry for years. When you have been drinking for a very long time, you become, as we say in lay terms, hard headed. That is, you develop tolerance for the sleeping pills, because alcohol is a sedative. So it's like you've been taking sleeping pills for so long that you have become tolerant of it, and it's no longer working. So she was telling me that, the sleeping pills are not even helping her, and she can't sleep. For any one of you listening out there, when you are stressed out about anything and you can't sleep, in a matter of days, you will become a mess. You start suffering with depression and anxiety and a whole lot of things. This is why it is said sleep is golden. When you have serious responsibilities, even as a business person or a career person, and you can't sleep the night before you have a presentation the next day, you're in a mess. So this is why people gravitate to shortcuts, anything that would help them to sleep. And in my practice here, I have been seeing people, even professionals, even doctors have been coming to me because they've become dependent on sleeping medication. And I have had to use, thank God, there is an alternative. And I say it loud and clear this morning. I have been using acupuncture, auricular acupuncture, to help people who have become dependent on psychotropic drugs, on alcohol, on marijuana, on cocaine, to help them to wean them off these drugs. And the good thing is that you cannot become dependent on acupuncture because it doesn't give you a high. But if you're depressed, if you are anxious as a result of drug use, if you are going through the classical withdrawal symptoms, the acupuncture will help to stabilize you. It will not give you a high, but it will take you out of the depression. It will calm the anxiety. And if you have the desire to stop with the counseling, counseling is critical. The acupuncture alone is not going to help anyone to stop by itself. It will help you with the withdrawal symptoms, but the counseling is important. And I must say that even our well-intentioned general practitioners, doctors, who have not worked in the field of psychiatry, they do not have what I would call an adequate level of understanding of the nature of the disease that is addiction. I know the psychiatrists are aware, but I also know when they are working in a clinic and you have 40, 50 patients waiting to see you in a clinic in a morning half day, and I've worked in these clinics, you don't have time to counsel anyone, although you may wish to. You understand? And so I could understand why psychiatrists in practice sometimes have to be very brief. And there's a heavy dependence on psychotropic drugs to manage these cases. So that, yes, most of us, when we go to a doctor, we expect an injection or some tablets. We don't want to leave their office without getting something like that, because we too want to feel better and want to feel better like yesterday. So the doctors prescribe. And as a result, we run the risk of becoming dependent on that. So I will continue this discussion. I want to stop at this point so that we can have a few advertisements, and I'll come back to the subject in the part 2 of this program this morning. So I want to thank those of you who are listening. And of course, if you have questions or comments, you can text it to the station, or you can call the station and they will relay the questions to me and I'll respond to it. So at this point, we'll take a break and we'll come back in a few minutes. Thank you very much.